It was the day before our 8th wedding anniversary. My wife's male best friend posted a photo on Instagram with a glowing caption, "Pregnant. Fingers crossed for a daddy's little girl to spoil." The photo was a quintessential happy family portrait. I zoomed in. His arm was draped possessively around my son and my wife, who was just 1 month pregnant. I let out a cold laugh and typed a comment underneath, "Congrats. If it isn't yours, feel free to keep trying." Seconds later, the post was deleted. The next day, my wife, Victoria, stormed home, furious. "He just wants to be the baby's godfather. Why do you have to be so insecure and petty?" My son, Leo, glared at me, echoing her sentiment. "It's all your fault." Uncle Julian was crying when he deleted the photo. "You're just a loser who spends mommy's money." I pulled out the divorce papers I prepared and smiled. "My mistake. Once the baby is born, you guys could take another family portrait." When they came back, I was staring blankly at my phone screen, which displayed the final version of the divorce agreement sent by my lawyer. Several large suitcases lay at my feet, taking up nearly half the living room of our Seattle penthouse. Victoria Sterling saw the luggage and frowned slightly. "Are you throwing a tantrum and running away from home?" Before I could speak, little Leo clapped his hands and cheered. "Yay! Yay! The loser is leaving." He ran to the dining table, glancing with disgust at the dinner I had meticulously prepared the night before, barely touched. More of this tasteless garbage. Uncle Julian makes way better food. Watching the identical expressions of disdain on both the adult and the child, I felt a wave of exhaustion wash over me. Both of them had hereditary heart conditions. Their diet required strict attention. Every day, I carefully followed the doctor's orders. Low oil, low sodium, terrified that one slip-up would send them to the ER. But my son preferred the greasy, salty takeout Julian ordered for him. I took a deep breath and spoke slowly. "Let's get a divorce, Victoria." Victoria scoffed. Julian deleted the post. "Are you still jealous? Do you want the child in my belly to be born without a father?" She tilted her chin up, her eyes full of contempt. "Caleb, if I wanted to be with Julian, do you think I'd even be with you?" They were childhood sweethearts. Julian had gone abroad for his studies and only returned the year before last. They claimed to be best friends, acting with zero boundaries in front of me. At dinner, they would feed each other like a couple. I tolerated it because Victoria insisted it was just friendly intimacy and told me not to overthink it. On business trips, they booked the same hotel room. When I questioned it, Victoria turned it around on me, calling me small-minded, claiming Julian got drunk and she was just taking care of him. Time and again, my tolerance was met with escalating disrespect. My tone remained calm. "I've had enough, Victoria. Let's divorce." Victoria crossed her arms, looking at me provocatively. "Divorce? Have you thought this through? You haven't worked in years. What kind of job do you think you can find?" My voice was firm, without a hint of hesitation. "I've thought it through. I don't want anything. I just want custody of Leo. I don't want to be with a loser like you. I want to be with Mommy." Leo tilted his head back, glaring at me. He ran to the suitcase and kicked it hard. "Go away. Go away. Take your junk and get out." My heart twisted in pain. It became difficult to breathe. I crouched down, trying to look Leo in the eye. "Leo, have you forgotten who takes care of you every day? Don't you want Dad anymore?" Leo turned his face away, hiding behind Victoria. "I don't want you. Get out. I want Uncle Julian to be my daddy. I was the one who spent the most time with him. When he was born, we were constantly running to the hospital. Multiple times, critical condition notices were signed, and I was the one who stayed by his side without sleep. I raised him from a sickly infant to the energetic boy he was now, yet he felt no closeness to me. Perhaps it was Victoria's blood in his veins. From the moment he met Julian Rivers, he adored him, calling him Uncle Julian sweeter than he ever called me Dad. I smiled self-deprecatingly. "Fina, I don't want anything. I'll mail you the divorce agreement. Remember to sign it." With that, I dragged my suitcase toward the door without looking back. Two. Just then a beep sounded. The fingerprint lock on the front door disengaged, and Julian Rivers walked in naturally, as if he were entering his own home. I had said countless times that I didn't like outsiders coming and going freely, especially Julian. But Victoria never took my words to heart. When Julian saw me, a flash of panic crossed his face, quickly replaced by a look of grievance. "Caleb, where are you going? Did you get mad at Vicky because of me again?" "I really didn't mean to. Didn't you already call and yell at me?" I laughed out of sheer anger at his ability to invert reality. The man could lie without blushing or skipping a beat. Before I could speak, Victoria pulled Julian behind her protectively. "Are you done yet? Why did you call and verbally abuse Julian again? What did he ever do to you? If your jealousy has reached this level, Are you even a man? I pinched the bridge of my nose, exhausted, and looked at them coldly. Victoria, if I told you I never called him, would you believe me? My tone was calm, but there was an imperceptible tremor in it. Victoria paused for a moment. Then her voice filled with mockery and disdain. You're still accusing Julian of lying? You're disgusting. Suddenly, I felt tired. Too tired to explain. It felt superfluous. I dragged my luggage and walked decisively out the door. Caleb Stone, get back here. Victoria shouted, exasperative. Apologize to Julian. Julian grabbed Victoria's arm at just the right moment, looking understanding. Vicky, forget it. Caleb didn't mean it. Don't be angry. It's bad for the baby. As he spoke, he reached out and gently stroked Victoria's stomach. The gesture was blindingly intimate. Bad daddy. You're a bad daddy. Stop bullying my Uncle Julian. Go away. I don't want you anymore. 5-year-old Leo kicked at my legs, defending the outsider. The child I once treated as a treasure was now looking at me with strange, hostile eyes, as if I were a villain guilty of terrible crimes. In that moment, my heart died completely. Good. That's just great. I laughed coldly. I wish you three a happy life together. Grow old together. Stop acting in front of me. It makes me sick. With that, I didn't look at them again. I turned and walked out the door, never looking back. 3. I dragged my suitcase all the way to the bus stop, my mind a blank slate. Returning to my parents' house was my last hope, but reality gave me a hard slap in the face. My dad sat on the sofa, speaking slowly. What divorce? Vicky's company is huge now. You really don't know how good you have it, boy. My mom chimed in from the side. Exactly, Caleb. Your dad is right. A man needs to be magnanimous. Don't talk about divorce so easily. I couldn't help but sneer. Magnanimous? She brought her lover into our home. My child calls another man dad. How much more magnanimous do I need to be? Watch your mouth. My mom's voice turned shrill. What lover? That's such an ugly word. We've met Julian. We know his background. He treats you and Leo well. Stop being so suspicious. I looked at them in disbelief. How could they disregard my life like this? Are you serious? Victoria is cheating on me. Instead of supporting me, you tell me not to be suspicious? I felt my voice trembling. Are you even my parents? At that moment, my younger brother, Kyle, poked his head out of his room, looking impatient. Bro, stop making a scene, okay? Vicky said she'd buy me an Audi once I get my license. If you actually divorce her, who's going to buy me my car? My mom followed up. That's right, Caleb. You haven't worked in years. You have no income. How do you plan to live if you divorce? Are you planning to leech off us old folks? My dad nodded in agreement. Besides, even if she really did something wrong, isn't the child yours? For the sake of the child, you can't divorce. Listening to them, I felt a deep chill in my bones. In their eyes, the humiliation and pain I suffered weren't worth mentioning. All they cared about was Victoria's money and their own interests. I looked at them coldly, as if looking at a group of strangers. I said nothing. I turned around, dragging my suitcase, and walked away. If you still consider me your mother, get back here right now, my mom shouted behind me. I didn't turn back. I walked straight out of the house. 4. The rental apartment was small and simple, a world away from the villa I used to live in. I sat on the edge of the bed, drained, replaying the last 8 years in my mind. When we first got married, we were sweet. Back then, Victoria hadn't started her business yet. I had a decent salary, and life, though plain, was warm. Later, Victoria wanted to start her own company. I didn't hesitate to take out all my savings to support her. To take care of Leo, I quit my job and willingly became a house husband. I thought my sacrifices would earn her appreciation. I never expected that everything would change after Julian appeared. Ding! A WeChat message popped up. It was Marcus. Hey man, saw your post. You looking for work? Marcus was my college buddy. After graduation, we joined a gaming company together and were doing great. Later, when I gave up my career for my family, he jumped ship to a major tech firm. We hadn't been in close contact over the years, but the bond was still there. 8 years of marriage had shrunk my social circle until there was almost no one left to call. I hesitated, then replied, Do you have any leads? My company happens to be hiring for an ops position. The pay is good, but you'd have to spend some time at the branch office in Austin. You willing to relocate? I replied quickly, I'll do it. I'm in. Awesome. With you saying that, I'm relieved. But wait, didn't you marry a rich wife and retire to enjoy the good life? Don't ask. It's a long story. I smiled bitterly, unwilling to elaborate. Got it. I won't pry. Let's grab a drink sometime, and I'll fill you in on the company details. Let's do tonight. I'm feeling suffocated and need a drink. I was desperate for an outlet to vent the depression in my heart. 5. In a familiar bistro, Marcus and I sat across from each other. After a few beers, I felt a little lighter. Brother, I hate to say I told you so, but I warned you back then. I told you not to give up your career for a woman. You wouldn't listen. Marcus took a sip of beer and spoke earnestly. Now look at you. Regret it. I laughed self-deprecatingly. Who knew it would end up like this? With several beers in my system, my head was throbbing and my stomach was churning. I can't. I need to hit the restroom. I stood up unsteadily. As I passed a private booth at the end of the corridor, I accidentally overheard a familiar voice. Vicky, is Caleb really going to file for divorce? Julian asked cautiously. Victoria scoffed. Let it pretend. Can he actually leave me? What money has he made all these years? I've been supporting him. I've kept him fed and clothed, and he actually thinks he's the master of the house. But Julian wanted to say something, but was interrupted. You're just too kind. That's why he always bullies you. Victoria's voice softened. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Leo chimed in, Mommy's right. That loser. What can he do besides cook and do laundry? Uncle Julian, can you be my daddy from now on? Now, Victoria scolded coquettishly, but there was no real reprimand in her tone. Mom, just divorce Dad, so Uncle Julian can live with us. 6. I felt my stomach roll, and the alcohol buzz evaporated instantly. I couldn't hold it back anymore. I shoved the booth door open. Caleb Stone, are you stalking me now? Victoria frowned when she saw me, her tone filled with disgust. You really are a lingering ghost. I glanced coldly at the food on the table, my gaze landing on the plate of watermelon in front of Victoria. During her prenatal checkup, the doctor had specifically warned that her blood sugar was high and she shouldn't eat too much fruit, especially high-sugar ones like watermelon. The doctor said you shouldn't eat fruit during the pregnancy. Didn't you know that? Victoria froned impatiently. Why do you have to be so controlling about everything? Yeah, so annoying. Leo joined in, smugly stuffing spicy pork into his mouth. You control everything we eat. I hate eating with Dad. In the past, I managed their diet for their health. They didn't appreciate it at all. Instead, they thought I was meddling. I pulled the divorce agreement I had prepared out of my jacket pocket and slammed it onto the table. Since that's the case, sign it. You can't stand the sight of me anyway. The booth fell silent. A glimmer of joy flashed in Julian's eyes. He put down his chopsticks and put on a show of persuading me. Caleb, look, Vicky is pregnant and emotional right now. Don't lower yourself to her level. I sneered, looking at Julian. Isn't she carrying your little girl? What does it have to do with me? Victoria stood up abruptly. What do you mean? Are you suspecting me? Caleb Stone, don't go too far. I couldn't suppress the anger anymore. I pointed at Julian and shouted. I'm going too far? Who is the one crossing the line? When did he start appearing in your life? My child calls him daddy. Do you dare say you two are innocent? Caleb, stop spitting blood on people. Your heart is dirty, so everything looks dirty to you. I was blind to marry you. I'm going to get an abortion tomorrow. Looking at her, I suddenly felt exhausted. I didn't even have the energy to argue. I said flatly, abort it then. Being born into this family would be a curse anyway. Can you sign now? 7. Caleb. Julian tried to speak, but Victoria grabbed him. She stared at me, her eyes complex. Fine, I'll sign. She snatched the divorce papers and scribbled her signature furiously. Vicky. Julian looked at her in disbelief. Victoria didn't even look at him. She threw the papers back in my face and said coldly, Are you satisfied now? Can you get lost? I bent down, picked up the papers, and turned to walk out of the booth. Behind me, Victoria roared, Caleb Stone, get out. Don't let me see you ever again in this life. My footsteps paused, but I didn't look back. Walking out of the restaurant, a light drizzle had started. I stood by the roadside, letting the rain soak my hair and clothes. My phone rang suddenly. It was Marcus. Hey man, where are you? Why aren't you back yet? I'm fine, I said, my voice hoarse. Don't worry about me. Go home. What happened? Is everything okay? Marcus sounded worried. Nothing. Something came up. I'm heading out. Hey, I didn't call a cab. I let the cold rain pour over me, as if trying to wash away the humiliation and grievances of the past 8 years. When I got back to the rental, I developed a high fever. My consciousness was hazy, but I slept surprisingly soundly. In the middle of the night, the phone rang like a death knell. It was Victoria. Now, his heart suddenly hurts, and he's having convulsions. What do I do? I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Take him to the hospital? What's the use of asking me? Do you not know what he ate tonight? Silence on the other end for a few seconds, then Victoria's angry voice. Caleb, you. I didn't give her a chance to continue. I hung up directly. I slept well the rest of the night. When I woke up, sunlight was streaming through the curtains. I had sweated it out. The fever was gone, and I felt energized. I put on a suit I hadn't worn in ages and went to report to the company in high spirits. From today on, I was living for myself. The new job Marcus introduced me to was at a top-tier internet company. The pay was generous, and the prospects were broad. He slapped me hard on the shoulder. Bro, I knew you had it in you. Look at this energy. Nothing like that wreck yesterday. Marcus looked relieved. If you need help with anything, just ask. I smiled gratefully. Thanks, brother. 9. However, Victoria didn't seem to let me go that easily. Just as I was settling into the new job, her call came chasing after me. Leo refuses to eat. He's throwing a tantrum and wants the porridge you make. Her tone was full of exhaustion and helplessness. I frowned, impatient. Didn't he say my cooking was tasteless garbage? Let Julian cook for him. Julian doesn't know how to do this kind of servant work. I scoffed. Neither do I. Hire someone to take care of you and your son. With that, I hung up without hesitation and blocked her number. In the days that followed, I threw myself into my work. With my solid professional skills, I quickly adapted and earned the appreciation of my superiors and colleagues. Before, because Victoria didn't like it, I kept my hair in a docile shortcut. Now I let it grow out a bit and grew a beard. I look more mature, grounded. After settling in at headquarters, I received my transfer orders. In 2 weeks, I would head to the branch in Austin. While I was packing, my former mother-in-law called. Her tone was unusually gentle. Caleb, when are you free? We want to talk to you. About what? I asked coldly. About Victoria and the baby. We're divorced. There's nothing to talk about. There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then her voice lowered. Victoria is talking about aborting the baby. Don't you think that's a pity? I laughed coldly. We're divorced. The child is hers. What does it have to do with me? Caleb, you were married for so long. Is this necessary? She tried to persuade me earnestly. The child is innocent. I spoke with mockery. Martha, weren't you always dissatisfied with me? Now that I'm divorced, you should be happy. A sigh came from the phone. I was dissatisfied with you, but I'm even more dissatisfied with Julian Rivers. Do you really have the heart to let your child call another man dad? I don't mind. Didn't Leo call him that for 2 years anyway? I spoke coldly. All right, Martha, I have things to do. I'm hanging up. After ending the call, I added her number to the blacklist as well. 10. A knock sounded on the rental door while I was editing a PowerPoint presentation. I opened it to find Victoria standing there. Her makeup was exquisite, but it couldn't hide the exhaustion on her face. Behind her stood a frail-looking Leo. He was pale. In just 1 month, he had withered. I leaned against the doorframe, my tone indifferent. How did you find this place? Victoria scanned the room with disdain, frowning. You left me to live in a dump like this. It doesn't compare to CEO Sterling's grand villa. If you're disgusted, take your son and leave. Can you just speak nicely for once? I sneered and ignored her. Leo tugged at Victoria's hem, whispering, Mommy, I'm dizzy. Victoria touched his head lovingly. Let's go inside and rest a bit. I didn't want to agree, but seeing Leo's weak state, I softened. I stepped aside to let them in. Leo looked around curiously, his eyes finally landing on my laptop. His eyes lit up. Dad, are you working? I said coldly. I'm not your dad. Leo's eyes reddened, tears swirling in them. Victoria hugged him protectively and glared at me. Caleb, can you stop treating the child like this? Why? Is Julian too busy to play the loving father? Victoria was silent for a few seconds, her tone weary. We've fought enough. Haven't you suffered enough? Come back with me. Dad. Leo looked at me pitifully. Please come home. I feel really sick lately. I told you I'm not your dad. Victoria softened her voice. I haven't aborted the baby yet. If you're willing, I can. I cut her off. I won't go back with you. We are divorced. Please stop disturbing my life. Don't be ungrateful. If it weren't for Leo, do you think I'd come here to beg you? Look at him. Do you have no heart? I turned my face away, ignoring Leo's pleading eyes. What does this condition have to do with me? Seeing my resolve, Leo started crying. Daddy, please come home with us. I am scared. I looked down at the child who had once called me a loser to my face. I felt nothing. Leo, stop begging him. He doesn't deserve to be your father. Victoria pulled Leo up, glaring at me furiously. Caleb Stone, this was the only chance I was giving you. Don't regret it. Victoria carried Leo out. I watched them go, expressionless. Even the deepest love can turn into mutual disgust. 11. Before I left for Austin, my department held a farewell party. The atmosphere was great until my phone rang at an inappropriate moment. Hello. It was Leo, sobbing. Dad, come back quick. Mommy is bleeding a lot down there. She fainted. Uncle Julian. Uncle Julian ran away. My heart skipped a beat, and the alcohol buzz vanished. Even though I hated Victoria, I didn't want her dead. Where are you right now? At home. Stay there. Be good. Wait for me. I hung up, called 911 immediately, told my colleagues I had an emergency, and took a cab straight to the villa. When I arrived, the ambulance was just pulling up. Victoria lay on the bed, pale as a sheet, surrounded by a shocking amount of red blood. What happened? I grabbed a trembling Leo and asked urgently. Mommy and Uncle Julian were playing in the room and told me not to listen. Then Uncle Julian got scared and ran out. Mommy was bleeding. I was scared. I suppressed my rage, feeling cold inside. The paramedics loaded Victoria into the ambulance. I comforted Leo briefly and got in with them. The whole way, I could feel Leo gripping the hem of my shirt tightly. The doctor said it was a threatened miscarriage compounded by a sudden heart episode. She was rushed into surgery. I called her mother and explained the situation. Martha rushed over. Seeing her arrive, I knew my part was done. Martha, I'm leaving. You're here now. I can't help anyway. Leo hugged my leg, crying, Daddy, don't go, please. I am scared. I'm not your dad anymore. Don't call me that. I pried his hands off. Stay here with Grandma and be good. He looked up at me, eyes swimming with tears. Daddy, do you not want me anymore? My heart trembled, but I spoke coldly. You were the one who didn't want me first. With that, I left the hospital ward without looking back. I knew it was cruel, but I truly couldn't face the mother and son like I used to. 12. I've been in Austin for a month now. I changed my phone number, rented a small apartment, and completely said goodbye to my past life. The climate here is warm, unlike the damp chill of Seattle. The only thing I couldn't get used to was the food. Everything tasted a bit off. One day after work, I went to the supermarket near my complex as usual. Passing the dumpsters, I heard a faint whimpering. I stopped and looked. A dirty little dog was curled up by the bins, skin and bones, its fur matted with filth. A pair of wet eyes looked at me timidly. My heart softened. Without thinking, I took a sausage I just bought out of my pocket, broke off a piece, and offered it. The little guy was obviously starving. He wolfed it down. When he finished, he looked up at me cautiously, tail wagging slightly. Strangely, from that day on, the dog followed me everywhere. Wherever I went, he was there, like a shadow I couldn't shake. I couldn't help but squat down and pet his little head. It was fuzzy and comforting. Little guy, are you all alone too? I asked softly, wondering if he could understand. The dog seemed to understand. He nuzzled my hand and made a low whining sound. In that moment, I decided to adopt him. 13. I had always wanted a pet, but Victoria hated them. She said they were unhygienic with a child in the house. Now that I was divorced and had no strings attached, I could finally do what I wanted. I took the dog to the vet for a checkup and a bath, and bought food, a bed, and toys. He was very well behaved. No barking, no chewing on furniture. He adapted quickly. I named him Lucky, hoping he would bring me some. With Lucky's company, my life wasn't so monotonous. Every day after work, I took him for walks in the nearby park, talking to him, playing with him. Lucky was incredibly intuitive. Whenever I was down, he would lie quietly at my feet, looking at me with those wet eyes, silently comforting me. Days passed like this. My life gradually got back on track. Work went smoothly, and my mood improved. Until that day, when Victoria suddenly appeared at my apartment door. When I opened the door, I saw she had lost a lot of weight. She was pale, her lips colorless. I looked at her expressionlessly. What are you doing here? Can I come in and talk to you? She bit her lip, her tone pleading. Behind her stood a thin Leo. His chubby cheeks were gone, his skin sallow. Seeing me, his eyes lit up, but they quickly dimmed. He lowered his head, afraid to look at me. Say whatever you need to say right here. Victoria looked around, hesitating. Leo suddenly spoke, his voice choked with sobs. Daddy, I'm sorry. I was bad before. I shouldn't have said those things to hurt you. Please don't be mad at me anymore, okay? Victoria finally spoke, her voice trembling. Now, he's sick. The doctor says he needs a bone marrow transplant. I'm not a match. Can you get tested? Leo cried and begged. Daddy, please save me. I don't want to die. Enough, stop crying. I was annoyed and interrupted him impatiently. If you need a match, go to the hospital. I don't have time to waste with you. Victoria snapped her head up, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Really? You agree to get tested? I'm technically his father, after all, even if the father-son bond was long gone. Victoria smiled through her tears. Excitedly, she tried to grab my hand, but I instinctively pulled away. She awkwardly retracted her hand, the light in her eyes dimming. 14. The results came back quickly. My bone marrow was a high match for Leo. The day before the surgery, Victoria took Leo to the hospital for final checks. She and I sat on the bench outside the ward, waiting for results. Victoria suddenly said, "Caleb, I broke it off with Julian." I laughed dryly. "So, what does that have to do with me?" "Caleb, I know I wronged you before. I was obsessed. After you left, I realized how hard you worked. Leo has to take medicine every day and go for checkups. I always thought you were just playing house. I had no idea how hard it is to care for a child with a heart condition." I listened silently, saying nothing. "Caleb, can we start over?" Victoria grabbed my hand, her voice desperate. "I know I was wrong. I really know it now. Please, give me one more chance." I threw her hand off, my tone icy. "I only agreed to save Leo. Nothing else." Victoria froze, tears streaming down her face. The surgery was successful, and Leo recovered quickly. On the day of his discharge, he looked at me timidly, his eyes full of longing and a desire to please. "Daddy, can you come home?" I paused. Before I could speak, Victoria rushed to say, "Leo, don't be difficult. Daddy has work to do." Leo lowered his head, his small hands gripping his shirt tightly, eyes full of disappointment. Looking at the mother and son, I felt a mix of emotions. He was my biological son. I couldn't be completely indifferent. But thinking of his past behavior, my heart hardened again. "All right, I'm leaving." In the end, I didn't agree to return. I turned and walked out of the hospital. 15. I thought life would slowly calm down, but Victoria acted like she had lost her mind. She showed up in my office every few days. "Today's soup, tomorrow lunch. Caleb, I made your favorite rib soup. Drink it while it's hot." She opened the thermos, and a rich aroma wafted out. I looked at her coldly. "Victoria, what exactly are you trying to do?" I just want to be good to you." I pushed the thermos away. "Take it. I'm not eating it." In all our years of marriage, she never stepped foot in the kitchen. Now that we were divorced, she decided to play the virtuous wife. "Caleb, I know I was wrong. Just give me a chance to make it up to you, okay?" "Victoria, save your energy. We're done." I waved my hand impatiently. "Stop being an eyesore here. Leave." Victoria wanted to say more, but I had already started working. That night, I worked late. When I got home, I saw a small figure curled up at my door. It was Leo. "Why are you here?" I frowned, my tone displeased. Leo looked up, whispering, "Daddy, I missed you." I dialed Victoria immediately. "Leo is here. Come get him right now." On the other end, Victoria seemed to pause, her voice panic-stricken and pleading. "The child just really missed his dad. I don't want to hear it. I'll give you 20 minutes. Get here." I hung up, telling myself not to hold a grudge against the child. I let him inside. Leo sat on the sofa, head down, silent. A loud growl broke the silence, his stomach. He looked up and whispered, "Daddy, I'm hungry." I sighed, grabbed a pack of noodles from the cupboard, boiled them with some greens, and set the bowl in front of him. "Thanks, Daddy." He took the bowl and ate wolfishly. Ignoring him, I took a chicken breast from the fridge to boil. Then, patiently, I used chopsticks to shred the meat into Lucky's bowl. Lucky wagged his tail happily, circling me. I stroked his fur gently. "Good boy. Daddy loves you." Watching this, the light in Leo's eyes faded, his chopsticks pausing in midair. 16. I cleaned the kitchen and headed to the study to work. Just as I reached the door, I heard Lucky let out a sharp yelp. Startled, I ran back to the living room to see Leo kicking Lucky hard. "What are you doing?" I rushed over and shoved Leo aside. Lucky whimpered, tail tucked, and scrambled under the sofa, trembling. I picked him up, checking for injuries. Thankfully, he was just scared. "You're my dad. Why are you nicer to him than to me?" Leo suddenly burst into tears, pointing at Lucky. "He stole my daddy." This kid really was spoiled rotten by Victoria. Totally unreasonable. "Have you forgotten who didn't want me? Who kicked me out?" I looked at him coldly, my eyes devoid of warmth. I regret it." Leo sobbed. "I want you back now." I stroked Lucky's fur, speaking calmly. "There is no medicine for regret in this world. You're growing up. You have to be responsible for your actions." Seeing me unmoved, Leo cried harder, curling his small body on the sofa like a wounded animal. It was all too late. Spilled water cannot be gathered. A broken mirror cannot be made whole. Just then, urgent knocking sounded at the door. I knew it was Victoria. I opened it, and she rushed in, looking frantic. Seeing Leo on the floor, she ran to hug him. "Leo, what happened?" Leo just cried and refused to speak. I looked at Victoria coldly. "Stop disturbing me. I really detest you and your son." Victoria looked up, her eyes red, acting as if she were the victim of a great injustice. She wanted to say something, but I had no patience for her nonsense. I slammed the door mercilessly, shutting the mother and son out. Lucky licked the back of my hand, whining softly, as if comforting me. 17. A few days later, Victoria took Leo back to Seattle. Her company couldn't run without her for too long. Before leaving, she tried to leave Leo behind, claiming he should spend more time with Dad. Naturally, I refused. Lucky stood at the door, growling at her and Leo. Without them around to annoy me, my days finally became peaceful again. On weekdays, I focused on work. My performance soared, and my boss praised me. Victoria would call occasionally to ask how I was or talk about Leo's school and life. She acted like an old friend, avoiding the topics that upset me. I knew she was waiting for me to forgive her, waiting for me to come home. But some wounds, even if they heal, leave scars that never fade. I simply had no love left for her. Finally, my annual leave arrived. I decided to take Lucky on a trip. My request was approved quickly. I booked a flight to Colorado. There were magnificent mountains and rivers there, and the free life I imagined. Lucky seemed to sense my joy, running excitedly around the apartment, his tail wagging like a metronome. Before leaving, I got a call from Victoria. Her tone was calm, like she was a different person. "I heard you're going on a trip?" "Yeah, to clear my head." After a brief silence, she whispered, "Can you bring Leo? He misses you a lot." Honestly, I still held a grudge against Leo. I couldn't pretend his hurtful words never happened. "No, I don't want to see him." My tone was cold. Victoria hesitated, then simply said, "Please, I'm begging you." I hung up directly, unwilling to continue the conversation. 18. The travel plans didn't change. Just as planned, I set off alone with Lucky. Heading west, the scenery grew more beautiful, and my mood lightened. After arriving, I rented a Jeep and drove with Lucky across the vast plains, breathing the fresh air, feeling a long-lost freedom. We went to many places. We drove through the valleys, hiked the trails, and finally reached the high Rockies. The snow-capped peaks were majestic, the sky vast. It felt like time itself was cleansed by the scenery. I shouted at the distant peaks, screaming out the depression suppressed in my heart, screaming away the past that no longer belonged to me. Lucky ran excitedly beside me, then leaned against my leg, nuzzling my hand with his wet nose. He couldn't speak, yet he understood me better than anyone. I didn't need a vessel to carry me through the storm anymore. I had become the storm, and then the calm that followed. Story complete.